Potential for severe weather. This is some scattered rain that's rolling into southeastern Indiana as we speak. But what this is going to potentially do, if it can still hold together, I'm still keeping a really close eye on the potential effects this has on us later on tonight. I still think we end up seeing some strong thunderstorms moving into greater Cincinnati tonight between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So still talking about that overnight severe weather threat tonight while you're sleeping. Light rainfall over top of areas right around Connorsville is trying to work its way in there. Back out toward Indianapolis, we've got some additional rain, some thunderstorms. What looks like happens is a lot of this is still expected to fall apart as it rolls into the greater Cincinnati area. It's going to fall apart, and then we start to see some clearing back behind it, kind of helping to revamp our atmosphere for a little bit later on tonight as additional thunderstorms start to develop well back behind this that move in here while we're sleeping tonight. That's going to bring in that potential for strong to severe storms across the greater Cincinnati area. Storm Prediction Center now has everybody at least under a slight risk of severe weather. That's level 2 out of 5 for the overnight time frame, and areas to the north and west of the 275 loop. So this now includes Middletown, Harrison, Oxford, Brookville, Batesville, Versailles, and Connorsville. You are now under that enhanced risk for severe weather, level 3 out of 5 for that potential for strong to severe storms tonight. So again, that timeline, midnight to about 5 o'clock in the morning. You need to have a way to get those warnings. You can download that WLWT app, allow it to send you those notifications with your location, and it will send you those warnings overnight. And keep in mind, they need to be loud enough to wake you up while you're sleeping. Again, between midnight and 5 a.m. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. That still looks to be the primary threat for us here tonight, as well as still that potential for some embedded tornadoes within that line of action. Heavy rainfall, also another potential that we're looking at here. So going through the rest of this evening, again, there is that potential that we've got that rainfall north of the 275 loop. If the bulk of that can stay north of I-70, I think it's game on for us seeing our thunderstorms here tonight that are going to be strong or severe rolling in. Closer to about 11 o'clock, they start to approach I-70, areas to the south and east of that throughout the overnight. Anywhere from about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for areas throughout the Cincinnati metro. Again, any one of these cells could start to rotate, in which case we would end up with a tornado warning. I definitely think tonight's going to be a loud night, whether it's thunder, lightning, those severe warnings going off, and then, of course, the potential there for those tornado warnings as well. Here's about 3 o'clock in the morning. Overnight tonight into tomorrow, we still have those cells going up across greater Cincinnati, areas of northern Kentucky at that point, looking to see some of the action. And then as we get to the 5 o'clock hour, we start to dry out a little bit. So tomorrow morning as the sun comes up, storms start to move out. Will dry out for a good portion of the day on Thursday. So again, tonight between midnight and 5 o'clock, that's when most of these storms are looking to be most probable, and all modes of severe weather are on the table for us here tonight. So I'll keep ironing this out here coming up in a few minutes. Tonight, as strong severe storms roll into greater Cincinnati, this is an idea of how active radar could be while you're sleeping. I'm going to go over the timeline and impacts coming up in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back.
Worries me, as a parent, whenever you go to sleep, those are the scary times when this thing is going to hit, and that's what's going to happen tonight.
Yep, especially considering, you got to wake the kids up, you got to wake the family up if you end up with one of those warnings in effect for your county. So it's really important tonight to be well aware of all the threats and the timeline for everything that's rolling through, and of course have ways to receive those warnings. We've got the QR code at the bottom of our screen, so that's going to help you. If you scan it, you can download the WLWT weather app, allow it to send you those notifications tonight so that you get the warnings if and when they are issued for your community. Across greater Cincinnati right now, it's been a little bit warm outside today. So far it's been dry. We've had that cloud cover kind of building in here in the last couple of hours thanks to some rain that's sitting off to the west. Light showers starting to work their way into southeastern Indiana here right now. There's some additional rain back off to the west as well, but Connorsville, Brookville, areas around Liberty, seeing some of that light rainfall at the moment. This is not what I'm concerned about in terms of severe weather. Now, what we need to watch with this is if we end up seeing our atmosphere kind of recover after some of this rain moves in here this afternoon and this evening. I still think that's something that we end up seeing, which allows us still to see those strong severe storms moving in here tonight, midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning. Back out toward Indianapolis, we still have some rain, some thunderstorms, watching to see if that ends up kind of falling apart. Still looks like it does so. in which case, again, I do think we have a pretty good likelihood of a loud and busy night ahead of us with those storms moving in here. Storm Prediction Center still has Greater Cincinnati under that slight risk of severe weather, areas off to the east of the 275 loop, but actually just new in the last few minutes, we have the enhanced risk now in effect for areas of the 275 loop. This includes a large portion of northern Kentucky, essentially 75, 71, and to the west and all of southeastern Indiana. So that's our severe weather threat for tonight, as well as the potential for some flooding. A flood watch is going to go into effect at 10 o'clock, lasting until tomorrow morning, because this is also going to be an efficient rainmaker tonight into tomorrow morning as well. So that timeline, anywhere from midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, those strong to damaging winds, primary area of concern for us here tonight. Some of the winds could gust up to about 70 miles per hour within our strong storms. It's also important to note that independent of those strong storms, we're still going to see some winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. So it is still going to be a really gusty night. And embedded tornadoes is something else that we're going to be keeping a really close eye on here tonight as well, because any one of those storms could start to rotate, in which case we would end up with a tornado warning, in which case we would be, of course, breaking into programming until that threat has wrapped up. So for the next couple of hours, we'll still see that rain chance, especially north of the Ohio River areas, north of I-74. Then as we get closer to that midnight time frame, we start to see that line of strong storms working its way into greater Cincinnati. This is generally going to be pushing from the northwest to the south and east. So areas throughout the Cincinnati metro, I think anywhere from midnight to 5 a.m. you need to be aware of that potential for those strong storms, but especially closer to about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, there is that really high likelihood that we end up seeing these strong storms working their way throughout the Cincinnati metro. And then areas of northern Kentucky still looking to be something that's, again, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning or so, with the threat lingering until about 5 a.m. in which case after that we actually start to dry out and things are going to start to kind of clear up for us a little bit tomorrow. So that timeline, midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning, the biggest concern we have, damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour or so. Embedded tornadoes will be a possibility. And then, of course, there's that heavy rain threat as well that could lead to some localized runoff issues, high water issues too, especially if you end up getting repeated rounds of heavy rainfall tonight with these storms that are going to be moving in. Temperatures now sitting in the 70s. As we head into tonight, we're not going to see a huge change in terms of temperatures, only dropping down to about 69 or so for the overnight low tonight. Just in the last couple of minutes, I showed this earlier today. The Storm Prediction Center now includes the Cincinnati metro, all of the 275 loop, areas of Kentucky, including Florence and Independence down toward Dry Ridge, as well as all of southeastern Indiana under that enhanced risk for severe weather. So that's level 3 of 5. Earlier, we were under the level 2, so now we've been upgraded just a bit. Areas off to the east of that still under the slight risk for severe weather. Essentially, a lot of the messaging still remains unchanged. Severe weather looking to take aim at greater Cincinnati tonight between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning while you're sleeping. And it still looks to be that damaging wind threat is going to be our primary threat, but also taking into account that some of these storms could start to rotate and we end up seeing possibly some tornadic activity throughout the overnight time frame as well. So throughout greater Cincinnati right now, still pretty quiet throughout the Cincinnati metro. We've had those clouds kind of building in over the last couple of hours ahead of this rainfall that's sitting back out to our west over toward Indianapolis. Still thinking that a lot of this rain isn't going to have a huge impact on how tonight plays out, but we will have to watch very closely to see how kind of our instability ends up shaking out with these showers out ahead of the main line of action. That main event going to come into play tonight after or closer to midnight or later. Throughout about 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow as a line of strong storms starts to develop and move into the greater Cincinnati area here tonight. So again, we are under now that enhanced risk for the Cincinnati metro, 275 loop, areas to the south in Kentucky and all of southeastern Indiana as well. And that timing anywhere from about midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning. The further north and west you live, closer to midnight for you. If you're in the Cincinnati metro, closer to about 1 to 3, and then areas off to the south and east, you'll see it closer to the end of the duration of this event, closer to about 5 o'clock or so in the morning. We've mentioned have a way to get those warnings. Keep in mind that we do have the QR code at the bottom of your screen. You can scan that and it'll take you to download our WLWT app. If you allow it to send you those notifications tonight, then you will be able to get those warnings. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Make sure it's loud enough to wake you up between midnight, and 5 o'clock in the morning. Primary concern is going to be the chance for some damaging winds up to about 70 or so miles per hour. And with that as well, we're looking at that embedded tornado threat too. So heading into the next couple of hours around greater Cincinnati here, we're still looking at that potential for those strong storms to roll in here closer to about midnight or so. Out ahead of that, what we're seeing right now, again, is going to be light. I don't really anticipate that having too much of an impact on anything for the next couple of hours here this evening. Here's about 11 o'clock this evening. We start to see those stronger thunderstorms taking aim. Any one of those could start to rotate. So tornado warnings are certainly a possibility tonight. As we head into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that threat just kind of keeps on shifting slowly to the south and east, and then we'll see that line starting to work its way out of here by about 5 o'clock in the morning or so. Again, still looking at that potential for severe weather for tonight, so we'll keep laying out all the impacts and concerns we have as we head into the overnight time frame and when things start to clear up for us and for how long. Coming up in a few minutes. Sheree, storms start to take aim at us while we're sleeping tonight. I'll show you the impacts and the timeline for when these are going to be most intense coming up in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back. In the morning. What we're seeing now is what's left over a little bit of a complex of storms that was out west of us and bringing in some light rainfall to areas around southeastern Indiana. You might even be seeing some sprinkles back out toward Hamilton or areas closer to about Forest Park. But for the most part, this is starting to weaken out a decent amount, which is actually putting us in a better position to see some of those stronger thunderstorms here tonight. What's going to happen is we end up seeing a line of strong storms developing from the north and west, and that's going to dive throughout greater Cincinnati as we head into the overnight time frame. We are under now the enhanced risk for severe weather throughout the Cincinnati metro. This is level 3 of 5. Essentially, our threats still remain the same. Damaging wind is going to be the primary concern. That could be as strong as about 70 miles per hour or so, but then also that embedded tornado threat is still there for us here tonight as well. Still looking like the greater threat for that tornadic activity is going to be off to our west, but we are kind of right on the fringe of that. So that's something that we're going to be keeping a really close eye on as we head into the overnight time frame. Again, from about midnight to 5 a.m. is when we have that greatest potential for those strong to severe storms moving in here. Damaging winds, primary threat up to about 70 miles per hour. That would be strong enough to bring down some tree limbs, possibly even some trees, leading to some spotty power outages. And then that tornado threat is there as well, with that potential for some spin up or embedded tornadoes within our line of storms. This evening up until that point, still looking at the scattered rain chance, but not expecting anything strong or severe out of that. Between 5 and 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, our thunderstorms start to exit out of the area and we end up seeing some clearing throughout the day on Thursday. So timeline here, Futurecast walking you through the next couple of hours. That rain chance primarily north of the Ohio River between now and about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. And then from there, we'll start to see those thunderstorms taking shape back out to our northwest. They're going to start to make their way throughout the Cincinnati metro. Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, bringing in that strong wind potential. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings at this point looking like a pretty high chance, possibly even some tornado warnings getting issued tonight. If we see any rotation within any one of these cells, which there is a really high chance at this point that we end up seeing some rotation within some of those cells. So that would lead to a tornado warning getting issued. Throughout about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we start to see the line kind of shifting ever so slightly to the south and east, and it's going to continue to do so, moving south and east and then edging its way out of the greater Cincinnati area about 5 o'clock in the morning and on. So we are still going to see some rainfall through about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, but then from there, we actually start to dry out for the rest of your Thursday, and temperatures tomorrow are going to reach into the lower 80s. But up until that point, tonight is going to be a really important night to make sure you've got multiple ways to receive those warnings, and especially have your phone on loud enough that it's going to wake you up, because that time frame between midnight and 5 o'clock, most of us are sleeping at that point, right? Wind gusts up to about 70 miles per hour. That embedded tornado potential is there as well. Right now, temperatures are sitting in the 70s. Again, we're really not going to see a huge change in our temperatures over the next 12 hours, dropping down to about 69 tonight. That early thunderstorm potential for tomorrow morning working its way out of here by about 7 o'clock. Generally, I think things are pretty dry at that point by the time the sun starts to come up, and then we're drying out for the rest of the day on Thursday. Heading into the next couple of days, Friday and Saturday, both days look great, but then by Father's Day on Sunday, already eyeing our next thunderstorm potential winds around Butler County. Things otherwise have been pretty quiet for us throughout greater Cincinnati. That is going to change in the next several hours. Tonight, closer to midnight, we'll start to see those strong to severe storms making their way into the greater Cincinnati area. What's moving through areas of Butler, Warren, and even Hamilton County now closer to Deer Park, not severe, not anticipating it to be that way, but we do have some thunder and lightning with these few downpours here. And then back out to the west, we also still have some rainfall that's making its way through Indianapolis. Again, what we're tracking for the overnight time frame is going to be everything that's developing back out east to west from essentially Missouri over toward Indiana. Strong line of thunderstorms, tornado warned for some areas as well as severe warned for others. Tons of lightning with this as well. And this is going to be taking aim at us tonight right as you're starting to head to bed. Midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning is our time in which we're looking at the best potential for strong to severe storms across the area. A tornado watch has been issued for our west, not for us here in greater Cincinnati quite yet. Still waiting to see if and when. At this point, I think it's going to be more of a when rather than an if we end up seeing that tornado watch issued for the Cincinnati area. Here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. Came out earlier this afternoon. Enhanced risk of severe weather issued for areas around the 275 loop, Butler, Warren counties, as well as down along I-75, 71 in Kentucky, and all of southeastern Indiana. So with that, it's level 3 out of 5 for the likelihood of strong to severe storms moving through greater Cincinnati. So up until about 11 o'clock tonight, we'll still see some gusty winds picking up. Some showers, some thunderstorm activity is a possibility. But midnight to 5 a.m. is when it looks like we have that severe threat. Damaging wind being the primary concern, possibly around 70 miles per hour. Tornadoes also something that we are going to be keeping a close eye on. Embedded tornadic activity within some of the cells that are going to be moving through tonight certainly looks like it's on the table for us, as well as a heavy rain threat. So Futurecast is going to show you throughout the overnight tonight starts to get more and more active the closer to midnight we get. This is about 11 o'clock when we start to see that line of thunderstorms working its way down south of I-70, impacting areas along 74. Closer to about 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, is when a lot of the heart of the Cincinnati metro ends up seeing those stronger thunderstorms moving in. Can't say it enough. You need to have ways that are going to warn you and wake you up overnight tonight. So WLWT app will send you those warning notifications if you allow it to, as well as anything like your emergency alerts on your phone, and then of course that NOAA weather radio. Closer to about 3 o'clock or so, we'll still see those thunderstorms making their way a little bit further to the south and east. Areas of Kentucky starting to see those impacts, and this is going to continue until about 5 a.m. and from there we actually start to clear out. So coming up in a few minutes, I'll show you more on what you can expect for tonight. Likely going to be a long and busy night for us, but I'll show you what you need to know coming up. Ashley, around greater Cincinnati right now, but the main event's still going to be moving through tonight as you're going to bed. That timeline, midnight to 5 a.m. that we could see severe storms moving across Cincinnati. I'll show you the impacts for what you can expect overnight coming up in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5 at 7, and we'll be right back. Their way through areas of southeastern Indiana as well, and even a little kind of shower popping up in central Boone County. Otherwise, things around greater Cincinnati pretty quiet for us now. In the next several hours, that is going to change pretty dramatically. Here are some of those showers and thunderstorms that are moving through Butler and Warren counties, just outside of Middletown. Some lightning there, as well as areas along I-75 closer to Mason. That's going to start to approach Mason here fairly soon, and some showers back out towards southeastern Indiana with some embedded thunder with that as well. Main line of action still going to be moving through here tonight. This is going to start to pull its way in from Indiana, Illinois, and even Missouri here tonight. So we have to watch and see how these storms evolve. Right now, severe warn, even tornado warn for some areas of Illinois. As we head into the overnight time frame, that severe weather threat is there. In fact, an enhanced risk for severe weather for areas along I-71, 75, and to the west. This includes all of southeastern Indiana now. Also includes the Cincinnati Metro, 275 loop, Butler, Warren counties, and then just to the east of that, the slight risk still out for areas of Batavia over toward Adams County. So level 2 of 5, level 3 of 5 for that potential for some strong to severe storms here tonight. Should also mention, with these storms, we are looking at a heavy rain threat, so we do have that flood watch that's in effect for the overnight time frame as well. 12 a.m. to midnight is going to be really the time to be aware. Have a way to get those warnings. Make sure that that's going to be loud enough to wake you up overnight. Multiple ways to get those warnings as well. So the main threat that we're looking at is the damaging wind. This is looking like it could be strong enough, up to about 70 or so miles per hour. That would knock down some tree limbs, that would lead to some spotty power outages, and then that embedded tornado threat is there within any of those thunderstorms as well, because there's so much spin in our atmosphere here tonight that it really looks like it's not going to take much to end up seeing some of these storms to start to rotate. So tornado warnings, certainly a high possibility as we head into the overnight time frame. And then of course that heavy rain threat is there as well. So Futurecast, next couple of hours, we'll still see that rain potential, but not expecting any of that to be severe. Closer to midnight, that is when that line of storm starts to make its way into greater Cincinnati. Again, at this point, we don't have any sort of watch in effect other than that flood watch, but I do anticipate that changing as we get closer to this midnight time frame and these thunderstorms start to move in. Any one of these could start to rotate. Any one of these could also produce winds up to around 70 or so miles per hour. So that is going to be something that, again, leads to damaging winds all across the greater Cincinnati area here tonight. Really that time frame, 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning for a lot of the heart of the Cincinnati metro and northern Kentucky. And then beyond that, these storms start to work their way to the south and east. And as they do so, impacting areas around Georgetown, Brooksville, Falmouth, Maysville through about 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. After that, things start to dry out for us, and we are looking at pretty quiet weather heading into the upcoming weekend. But for tonight, looks like it's going to be a busy one and a long night for us around here. So strong wind, the highest possibility here, with that potential for winds to be up to 70 miles per hour. The tornado threat still there as well, that flooding potential. And then hail, it's not ruled out entirely, but not up there with our concerns as we head into the overnight time frame. Temperatures here tonight not changing very much. In fact, only down to about 69. We're sitting around 76 now. 80 tomorrow for our high temperature. We'll start to see some of the clearing in the sky tomorrow throughout the day after that rain wraps up, and then dry Friday, Saturday. But
to get messier and messier, you would think that the agent would just stop talking about it and try to get it away instead of throwing some shade here at UC.
NFL teams are going to want accountability and maturity, and you can't be pointing fingers every which way to
weird situation.
accomplish that. Yeah.
Jaren, thanks so much. Allison, a big night.
yeah, so
All right, that's our time for now.